It's time for another episode of MoState Update, the official podcast of Missouri State Athletics. Here are your hosts, Corey Riggs, and the voice of the Bears, Art Haynes.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to MoState Sports Update. I'm Art Haynes, along with Corey Riggs. Been off for a couple of weeks because of, travel situations.
Well, travel and holidays, Art. I say, of course, the Bears and Lady Bears both were on the road going to beach-like locales with the Paradise Jam and the Cayman Islands Classic for the men and the women. Of course, we hope everybody had a happy and healthy Thanksgiving, and now we can get back into the groove and get probably about 2 or 3 episodes in before we have to stop for the Christmas break and everybody takes a few days off.
Well, let's start out with football, which, of course, wrapped up an excellent 8-4 season. Had 12 student-athletes on the all-conference team. First team for Jacob Clark, the quarterback. Also for the punter and kicker, Grant Burkett. We'll have him on the show later today. And Caden Bowles.
Yep, Caden Bowles, the long snapper out of Overland Park, Kansas, and Grant have been together for 56 consecutive games and both got honored as first-team vote winners along with Jacob Clark. Art, I kind of think Jacardier Wright, if you get voted second-team running back and second-team in all-purpose, that's kind of like being first-team if you get 2 second-team awards. And he heads up the group, the second team. Cash Hudson, the Bears center, gets second-team honors. And one that I kind of take umbrage with is the tight end, Lance Mason. It's always nice to be recognized by the league, but there was not a better tight end in FCS football this year than Lance Mason. And most of the talking heads and the pundits that cover FCS exclusively had him graded out as the number 1 tight end in FCS, but somehow he's second team in the Valley.
Well, it's like Mark Gronowski, the South Dakota State quarterback. He won the Walter Payton Award last year. He was second team this year in the Valley. But that's not going to preclude him from All-America honors later down the road.
No, it won't. Hunter Wood, the Bears wide receiver, also got second-team honors. So did Bears outgoing defensive end from St. Louis, Darian Smith. And then a group of guys, and Taj Chambers, the Bears linebacker, also second team. And then 3 guys that got honorable mention with offensive lineman Hudson Lillibridge, Jalen Williams, the Bears defensive end and pass rusher, and then Jaden Becks. I think this is another one, Art, that I could probably argue Jaden may have needed to be second team. That's probably where I would have slotted him in, but just so explosive and really had kind of a breakout season this year, being a complimentary running back to Jacardier Wright for Missouri State.
Well, this group of honorees, 5 team captains on the team, and they all made all conference. 7 offensive starters, 3 defensive, and 2 specialists. The MSU honorees, Burkett, Bowles, Wright, Wood, Smith, and Williams, all exhausted their eligibility this season to continue their careers. But 2 have remaining eligibility, Jacob Clark, the quarterback, and Todd Chambers. And the class also includes 2 sophomores in Cash Hudson and Jalen Becks, and 2 juniors, and those are Lance Mason and Hudson Lillibridge.
So, yeah, an opportunity for the Bears to have a lot of that talent coming back as they make the transition from FCS to FBS, the transition from Missouri Valley Football Conference to CUSA. And, of course, Missouri State quarterback Jacob Clark was announced as one of 35 finalists for the 2024 Walter Payton Award. Art, you mentioned that the quarterback of South Dakota State was the award winner of that last year. And, you know, it's kind of the Heisman Trophy of FCS. Guys like Steve McNair, Tony Romo, Cooper Kupp, Trey Lance have won that award. Some guys that went on to have really great professional careers.
And Walter Payton, of course, played in FCS at Jackson State, so the award is named after him fittingly.
There's 3 other Missouri State football players, Art, that just got recognized. This came out late yesterday, early today, with a class of 31 in the Missouri Valley Conference for the league's all-newcomer team. And that was wide receiver James Blackstrain, who we chronicled a lot this year, was the Bears transfer from Georgia Tech that head coach Ryan Beard had been on since Ryan was at Louisville. and tried to recruit him to Louisville. Then he went to Georgia Tech, but now they've reunited here. Linebacker Dallas Winter Johnson, another product out of St. Louis, and a lot of these Bears that we're talking about are out of that St. Louis area. Had an incredible season, broke out and gets an all-newcomer award here. And then the only maybe down part to the story is Kalino Levine. Kalino started at corner, had a great year for Missouri State, but just recently saw that he entered the transfer portal.
Indeed, and that will happen. There'll be more, and there'll be some incoming people out of the portal. Well, men's basketball, 5-3 on the season, and guard Des White named as the Missouri Valley Conference Newcomer of the Week after a big week. As this encompasses the last two games at the Caymans and then the Oral Roberts victory on Sunday.
And why Des has had to become such a focal point, Art, I would say in part is because of his talent. He is one of the two best scorers on the team, but the other is the Bears have been without the services of Vincent Brady II. Vincent was a Valley Newcomer Award winner just a week or so ago, but then has been out of the lineup with a hamstring injury, so Des has really had to carry the load as the team's top scorer, and he's done it extremely well. He was the difference in that road win at Oral Roberts this past Sunday because he was held in check in the first half. I only had 2 or 4 points, I think, in the first 20 minutes, finished with 18 points in the game and helped the Bears get the come-from-behind victory.
Des averaged 19 points a game in the 3 games of the period in which the award is given. And, of course, Conzo Martin said on his radio show Monday night he expects Vincent Brady to be back Saturday for the game with Indiana State.
Yep, the Bears, of course, we've mentioned the road win, and again, Des was a big part of that. MoState Downing Rivers was a big part of that as well, Art. He kind of sparked a 7-1 run in the second half, and he had a three-pointer and a kind of a scissor leg kick, too, at the free throw line to spark the Bears in a game where they pretty much trailed the entirety of the first 2/3 of the game, but kind of turned it on its ear in the midway through the second half.
And you talk about that free throw line jumper that he made. You know, the game has kind of become layups and threes.
Yes,
but it's good to see somebody able to hit the mid-range shot.
Well, I think if you were listening, I turned to Coach Mike Keltner and said, the mid-range jumper is not dead yet.
Yeah.
MoState still understands what a good mid-range jumper will do for a team's offense.
Bears are back home Saturday at 7 to open conference play against defending champion Indiana State at Great Southern Bank Arena. Indiana State, of course, unrecognizable from last year. So is Missouri State.
Sure.
New coach, new players. Same thing at Indiana State. Their coach and several of their starters went to St. Louis.
Yeah, they're still wearing blue and white, but they're no longer on the banks of the Wabash, as now they're underneath the arch in St. Louis. And we'll see. That Indiana State team's kind of been Jekyll and Hyde, lost to Arkansas State, but turned around and beat a couple of tough opponents. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of opponent they are when they step on the Great Southern Bank Arena floor at 7 o'clock Saturday night. And we've got a giveaway that night as well.
Yeah, indeed. It'll be a Powerade drawstring bag giveaway and Powerade beverage giveaway to the first 1,000 fans at the game, 7 o'clock on Saturday night.
I think there may even be a pom-pom in the bag, too. So check the bag. There may be more than Powerade in it.
So women's basketball fell to 4-3 after a tough loss to Texas Tech, 72-69 in the final game of the Paradise Jam in the Virgin Islands Saturday night. Both teams came out with slow offense, but the Lady Bears picked it up, had the lead, ended up losing by 3.
Yeah, that was one that I heard Tom Ladd talking it over with Beth Cunningham on Inside the Den with the Lady Bears head coach. And she kind of talked a little bit about some of the same things that Coach Martin did, just playing so many games in a compact timeline. And but you know what? The Lady Bears played some tough competition like the Bears did down in the Cayman Islands. And the Lady Bears did have a player recognized as a part of the all-tournament team. Paige Rocca was named to the Paradise Jam all-tournament team. So congratulations to her, as the Lady Bears got 1 win and 2 losses, same record as the Bears did in the Caymans.
Bears out-rebounded Texas Tech in that game 30-24 and made 8 3-pointers. They did have 20 turnovers. Bears shot 42% for the game, 8 of 19 from 3. They return to Springfield finally after a long time on the road. They'll be here Friday night at home against Wyoming.
Yep, that'll be a 6:30 start here, and so hopefully everybody will come out and take part in that one. Meanwhile, baseball having one of their celebration events to get ready for the upcoming season. Of course, Missouri State baseball will begin, I believe, on Valentine's Day this year, February 14th. But this Wednesday night at the old Glass Place, first-year head coach Joey Hawkins will get ready for their Step Up to the Plate event. And, Art, I know you're waiting for him to invite maybe a legendary Royal down here, but they've got another legendary Cardinal coming to be their guest speaker, and Willie McGee.
Pretty legendary. Willie McGee from the 1980s, great hitter and base runner, great speed. And Willie McGee will be honored at that event presented by Lauren Cook Company at Old Glass Place, like we say, on St. Louis Street on Wednesday night.
Yep, should be a lot of fun. Ned Reynolds is going to do an interview with Willie. That'll be the high point of the night. We're going to sit down and spend maybe 10 or 12 minutes with Coach Hawkins, talk about how his team's constructed, some of the new coaches on his staff, and find out what the off-season regimen has looked like for Missouri State. A lot of high expectations for the baseball Bears in their final year in the Missouri Valley Conference, and a really great schedule this year, Art, for a team that's going to go play SEC schools like a 3-game set at Mississippi State. They're going to host Mizzou, host Arkansas. They're going to renew their rivalry with the Wichita State Shockers and go out to Wichita and play them. So a lot of fun dates to circle on the baseball Bears calendar this year.
Yeah, indeed. So the Step Up to the Plate again is Wednesday night. Doors open at 5, buffet dinner at 6, and then the discussion, the program that Corey mentioned.
Yep, the Bears signed 5 new players as well for 2026, Art. Wildwood, Missouri, Lafayette High School native Michael Callahan's 5'11", 172 pounds, infielder, outfielder. The Bears have got 3 pitchers, 2 right-handers. Aiden Schell and Tommy Krabkowski are both righties. Jake Collier is a lefty out of Pacific High School. And then a local kid, Wyatt Vincent from Nixa. And, of course, Nixa still playing. They've got one more football game left this season as John Perry's club is undefeated and going to Faroe Field to play for a state title against DeSmet. And Wyatt Vincent, a big part of that football team as well. So a multi-sport athlete who's committed to Bears baseball.
And he was on the he was part of what will be the most famous play in Nixa football history, regardless of whether they win state. And that was a touchdown to beat a Lee Summit North team on the road in the quarterfinals.
Yep, and now they've turned around and defeated Kirkwood, and I think have DeSmet in the championship game Friday night.
Then in acrobatics, that's a new sport. Head coach Kimmy Askins announced the Bears' inaugural acrobatics schedule for the 2025 season. They'll open with 7 meets, 3 at home. They'll open at home against Presbyterian College of South Carolina on February 9th and spend 3 weeks at home against Augustana. First ever meet to be held at Hammond Student Center. Then they will host Duquesne on February 22nd. They'll end the homestand with a visit from reigning national champion Baylor. So they'll get right into the heart of acrobatics competition.
That's quite a schedule when you've got a first-year program and you get the reigning national champs to come to your place.
Wow.
I would say that says quite a bit for Coach Adkins' program. But, yeah, they'll their season wraps up in April with the National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association Championships. They will be hosted by Augustana, who will be one of the Bears' early opponents, and that's April 24th. Through the 27th. So one of the new additions to the Missouri State sports calendar this year.
Well, our guests on today's show include former Lady Bear and current director of student athlete development and inclusive engagement. That's Sydney Wilson. And then we'll visit with the only 5-time all-conference football player in Bears history, punter Grant Burkett. All that and more coming up. Stay with us on Mo Sports Update. Well, welcome back to MoState Update. Our guest is a popular former Lady Bear who's now back with us in a different capacity. Sydney Wilson joins us. Sydney, first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me.
You bet. So kind of describe your title and what you do now.
It's kind of a mouthful for sure, but my title is Director of Student Athlete Development and Inclusive Engagement. And my role here at campus is kind of just help our student athletes prepare for life after college. It could be very hard, that transition, but my job is just to make it a little bit easier for them, and then as well just to make sure that everyone on campus is included.
So do you work with all the sports?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Before you got that job and after you left playing basketball here, I know you went to work for the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah, I did. I did a 9-month internship out in St. Louis to work with the Missouri Valley Conference. It was super fun. I learned a lot. I learned definitely things that I do not like and what I do like. But, I'm so happy and so blessed to be back here at such an amazing campus.
What was maybe the main takeaway that you got from working in the league office, or maybe a skill that you picked up there? But what was something up there that you brought back with you when you came back to Missouri State?
Yeah, one of my coworkers always just said to be a sponge, to just absorb everything that I learned, and I definitely have brought that back here and still continuing to be a sponge with all those people, all the coworkers around me, just to make myself better.
I know during your time at the Valley, one of your jobs involved game administration at the conference tournaments. Our friend Mary Bernard, one of our favorite anthem singers here, sings at both the men's and women's conference tournaments each year, and she said that you were kind of in charge of guiding her and making sure she got where she needed to go.
Yeah, first of all, she's amazing. Oh my gosh, she's incredible vocals. But yeah, Noah's so awesome. Playing in our tournament, I was never able to go watch the men play at Arch Madness, so it's super fun, and the atmosphere there is crazy, so it's so fun to watch our Bears play and just everyone around.
What is it like being back here now, back at your alma mater, and getting to work with your old team? You've got a lot of connections to that team. Heck, there's at least, one player that played with you?
Yep, Paige Rocca. She's the one and only. But it's awesome to be back. Driving back, I was like having deja vu. I was like, wait, why am I back? Because I'm not doing school. I'm done playing. But it's awesome to be back. I love this community. I love the campus. I love everyone on campus, and they're so welcoming.
I know you went to Olathe East in Kansas City area, Kansas side. We were talking off the air, within a block apparently where my son and his family live. It's a small world.
Small world.
But how did you find that experience to be?
It was awesome. I loved my school. We were super competitive. It definitely grew me into the player that I was, so that way I could come here to Missouri State and just flourish.
Well, to talk a little bit about your time here, refresh my memory. You were recruited by which coaching staff?
I know, right? There's 3.
That's you managed to survive a lot.
Yeah, I got recruited by Kelly Harper. So I had her for my freshman year, and then Coach Mox came, and I had her for my 3 years, and then my last year I had Coach Cunningham.
So, obviously 3 very distinctly different coaching staffs. How did you feel like that affected your game? Because I know, talking to Tom Ladd, Lynn Miller and stuff, they always brag about you and your versatility, your ability to kind of just serve in whatever role the coaches asked you to be.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a strength of mine because I was so versatile that I kind of just blended into each of the coaches' philosophies and playing styles. So it was obviously a struggle because each of them are so different, but, each of them also grew me into the player that I ended up being throughout my 5 years, and I couldn't be more blessed.
Well, no, we have a toy drive coming up with which you're involved.
Yeah, no, it's super fun. I'm partnering with SAC, our Student Athlete Committee Council, and they are all helping. We are partnering with Crosslines and hosting a toy drive, so all the fans in the community can come and donate some unwrapped gifts for the kids in Greene County. And
those are at 4 upcoming games in December, 2 men's, 2 women's?
Correct, yeah, December 6th, 7th, 14th, and 18th for our Bear and Lady Bear games.
So how do people get involved?
You just come and donate. Whatever you have laying around, could be new, could be old, just any type of toys, just some of these kids, this is their Christmas, so just anything to help them put a smile, put a joy throughout this season.
And I was reading the paperwork, and of course this story is up on MissouriStateBears.com. You'll see it on all the different social media channels as well, but specifically Crossline's goal is to have like 3 gifts for every kid this year, and it can be a small gift, a gift $10 in value or less. Medium gifts around $15. Their big gifts are $25 or more. So you can bring an unwrapped gift to the next 4 home games, Bears or Lady Bears, and donate those. And they've got there's even a PDF document in there that shows what kind of, if you don't know, if it's been a while since you've shopped for a little kid, you know, they're still talking about things like Barbies and Marvel toys and Legos and headphones or ear pods of any kind. Those are all on every kid's wish list.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited, and I'm hoping that a bunch of our people from our community can, you know, donate, because these kids, it's going to mean everything to them. Even if it's the smallest, like, dollar amount, it's going to mean so much to them.
So what's the involvement of the Student Athlete Activities Council in promoting and executing this?
Yeah, so a part of the SAC is what we call it here at Missouri State. There is a subcommittee. It's the community service, so they're definitely a part of this as well. And they'll be the ones that are at the front of GSB Arena collecting the toys as fans and people of the community walk in, just to greet them so that they can know their faces as well.
That's what I was wondering, if there was going to be a sort of interaction component, or if it was just going to be, you know, sometimes it's just set up bins or buckets, but so people from, say, maybe football or baseball or softball or acro stunt, whatever, will be involved in waiting up there to take those donations.
Yeah, we have at least 2 representatives from each sport here on campus, so our goal is to get everyone involved. You know, it's awesome to see our student athletes, you know, give back to the community. It's not just all about sports, you know. As soon as we give back, you know, people are going to want to invest and come and see games, come and be in the stands to support our athletes. So as much as it is that we want to give back, it's also just helping us as well.
Well, and community engagement is one of the pillars of the mission statement of Missouri State.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, we definitely want to hit on that as well.
Well, talk a little bit about so the Student Athletic Activities Council, this group SAC that's putting this event on. Do they do other events throughout the year? And then how much time do you spend working with that group? I would assume that's a big part of your job.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a big part. I love it. It's super fun. There are several subcommittees within SAC. So we have like our community service, we have diversity and inclusion, we have fundraising. So each subcommittee kind of works on their own thing. That way, like as a whole, as SAC, we can flourish and do the best we can. So community service, you know, right now during the holiday season is super important to just give it back. We also do street cleanups too, just to help around our fellow streets around campus and Greene County, just to make sure that they're clean and safe for everyone walking around and just traveling through as well.
Well, back to your core job here, I would think that would be varied depending on the needs of a particular student athlete. I mean, do you have sometimes that they're in need of some kind of extra guidance?
Yeah, for sure. I know I've had several athletes come to me wanting, you know, resume help. You know, they're starting to look for jobs, starting to apply. So I've kind of also taken what I would have wanted when I was here and kind of applying it. Oh, some of them might want this because, you know, the adult life is really hard, and I had to figure that out, you know, really quick. So I'm just trying to make sure it's as smoothest and seamless as possible, their transition.
Another part of your title, Sydney, is the inclusivity part, and that is still a concept for a lot of people that is new. Talk to us a little bit about that aspect of the job and how you kind of try and wrap your arms around the idea of making sure that no one is left out, no one is left behind.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Corey. You know, I want to make sure that everyone is included, everyone is heard. You know, their voice is important just as everyone else on this campus. So just ensuring that everyone is heard and felt. Just whatever I can. I'm working with Dr. Hart, who is also, he's the assistant to the president of the Inclusive Engagement over in Carrington Hall across campus. So I've definitely been working with him hand in hand, kind of getting some guidance from him on what, just to kind of help our athletes feel more inclusive together and not so much divided. You
were a student athlete. You've worked with them before the professional part of your career now. Do you feel like our football players, basketball players, whatever, do you think they're more likely to speak up for themselves, or are they more just put their head down and work through it and maybe don't want to make a fuss, just get through it?
I feel like it's kind of half and half. You know, you have your handful of athletes that are very outgoing, very high-spoken, so they'll definitely voice their opinions, and usually those are the leaders of the team. You know, if some of the quieter ones are struggling, they'll usually tell those upperclassmen or those team captains, so to speak, of that team to be like, hey, this is kind of what I'm going through, like, could you help? So it's usually kind of like up the chain, like the team leaders will kind of speak for the team.
What's the degree of enthusiasm, would you say, on the part of the head coaches of these various sports at what you do?
Oh, it's high. My first couple weeks here on the job, even though I knew some of the head coaches, even when I was just a student athlete, I wanted to get to know them more since I would essentially be working with them. So just establishing a relationship, if they start trusting me more, they're going to push their student athletes to attend more workshops that I put on. That way it can help them with their future. And at the end of the day, we're on the same page of wanting them to be better on and off the court or field.
Well, Sydney, we appreciate your work before as a Lady Bear and now back here with the various roles that you're filling, and good to have you back in Springfield.
Well, thank you so much, Art and Cora. I appreciate you guys having me. You
bet. Sydney Wilson has joined us. Our next segment, we'll talk with Missouri State's 5-time all-conference punter, Grant Burkett, a number of football players receiving postseason honors. That's coming up next. Welcome back to MoState Update. Is the only 5-time all-conference football player in the history of the Missouri State program. 4 times first-team all-conference, 3-time, probably going on 4 All-America. That's Grant Burkett from Webb City. Grant, welcome and congratulations on all that you've done here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You bet. So you are working on your master's now.
Yes, sir. Going to be finishing up next spring, hopefully, and hopefully getting into coaching in the fall.
And would that be here, you think?
Ideally, yes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, of course, you also, with your success that you've had at this level, have got some aspirations for the next level. To that end, what are you doing to get ready for the draft or the free agency period?
So, going to be training a little bit in the beginning of the year next year. Well, first I got to get an agent, go through that process, and aiming to go for pro day. Not sure when we're doing that one, but goal is to be there for that and then take any opportunity that comes my way.
Well, what is your regimen for, if any, for training right now?
Well, I'm kind of taking a little easy right now that I'm done with football for now, and then just letting the body rest and heal. But I'm going to be hitting it hard, trying to put on some weight, get a little more explosive, maybe some sprinting in there.
Sprinting for a punter. Hold on. I would say, what do sprints look like for the specialist?
It's nothing long distance, just short distance. Get a little explosive, maybe a little conditioning in there, but not gonna be a track star.
Talk to us a little bit, Grant, about how the season ended and kind of your thoughts on your last year here with Missouri State. The team finishes 8-4. The last 2 weeks of the season, you play arguably the top 2 teams, not only in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but in all of FCS in North Dakota State and South Dakota State. Both those games ended up being losses, but that doesn't mean that the season wasn't successful.
Yeah, I think the season was definitely a huge success, bouncing back from a 4-7 season last year. I mean, it's obviously disappointing to finish off with 2 losses, but going on that 8-game win streak was definitely something to give us confidence looking forward to the future.
Yeah, that was historic. The 8-game win streak, the longest for many, many years at Missouri State, and first 8-win season. Bobby Petrino's first year also was an 8-win season. Before that, you go back to 1990. Yeah. So, you've worked through a couple of coaching changes.
Yeah, I've been here for a little bit, seen my fair share of coaching carousel and players coming in and leaving, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Say, as far as this season goes and this team goes, as you kind of transition into the next phase of your career and your life, what's going to be the biggest takeaway from your last year here at Missouri State? I mean, was there any point, let me ask you this, was there any point on that 8-game win streak where you guys were looking at one another in practice or in the locker room and be like, we've won 5 in a row, I can't believe it. We've won 6 in a row, I can't believe it. Or, I mean, I know Coach Beard kept preaching, go 1-0 every week, go 1-0 every week. How hard was it to ignore the heater you guys were on?
I mean, it was a little bit of pressure towards the beginning once we hit like 3 or 4 wins in a row. But I think coming off that 5th win, we just kind of settled into it, be like, all right, this is it. This is what we can do. We know what we're capable of, and we know what we're going to put to the field every Saturday.
Well, and like Corey said, you're going to have that as a point of pride really for the rest of your life, being on an 8-4 team in your final year.
I mean, it's been a pleasure to be on this team, but it's really good to see, or at least coming in and then leaving the program better off than when I found it.
So what do you think about, you won't be here to be part of it, but the move to Conference USA and FBS football?
I think it's going to be very good for the school. It's going to attract a lot more boosters, a lot more attention, a lot more publicity for the school, and I think it's going to be very good long term. Because I think one of the other plans for that coach was mentioning to us about was in like 12 years he's planning on moving up to the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So
see,
it's just the start of that process.
It's a crazy idea that anything could move that quickly, but it really does when you look at Conference USA and what it has been over the better part of the last 10 or 12 years. It's been a transitional conference. It's been, schools have gotten to Conference USA, they've gotten better, they've proven that they can win, and then they end up in a Power 4, Power 5 situation after that. What do you think about the guys that you're leaving behind here in your room, the specialist room? I know there was just announced that 12 Bears, including yourself, were recognized as all-conference players. Maybe there was another specialist on the team that maybe left off that list. But what do you think about the guys that'll be here kind of carrying the banner forward next year?
I mean, I've got nothing but high praise to speak about them. They worked their tails off, and they're going to be in a very good situation. I don't think anything's going to fall off special teams-wise, but Stuart McDonald's got a big leg on him. Just needs to get tamed a little bit. It can be a little wild sometimes, but Yusuf's going to be, I mean, I'd argue that he is the best kicker in the nation right now, and he's going to keep proving that year in and year out.
Say you didn't know Yusuf, but just for this year. So what was he like? What was it like getting to know him? And then when you look at him, as far as a kicker goes, we've seen thicker kickers and stuff. He is a slight guy. There's not much to him, but he can whip that leg like nobody's business.
I mean, him and Stewart are kind of gym heads. They're always lifting some weights whenever they're not doing anything. But, I mean, Yusuf, he was an athlete. He is an athlete. He was a receiver in high school, claims to have the best hands on the team. I would argue that I'm up there at least top 2. I mean, I've got 0 drops in a game, so I'm 100% catch rate on field goals and punts. So
most disappointed thing for me this season, Art, and I made it a point to try and get out to practice a couple of times a week, being on campus, and would always find time to talk to Grant and Yusuf and Stewart and Caden and the guys. And I always seemed to go into practice at the exact moment that the guys were working on a fake punt. And all year long, the guys told me, we're going to break this out. It's going to be awesome. All year long, I'd ask Coach Beard, hey, are we going to see this like LSU-style fake? And he's like, oh, yeah, we're just looking for the right time to use it. And then I never got to see it. That's the one that I missed out on, I feel like, this year.
We did have it called up against South Dakota State, but we didn't have the right alignment for their gunners because they were on the field side and they were supposed to be on the boundary side. But that was a little rollout pass we had drawn up. But
say what was the one? Say you threw a deep ball to your long snapper.
Yeah.
To Caden.
That's what we were going to run.
Okay. That was one that got my attention at practice.
That was the one that kind of got away from us. I mean, that was the one thing we've been missing throughout our careers, running a fake between us. But I think we can live without it.
And I was going to ask you about Caden because he's been your long snapper through your whole time.
Yeah, he's made my job a lot easier. I mean, he's a dog. He runs down hard. He tackles. He protects. I mean, I can't give him enough praise. He makes my life way easier.
Well, and I forget, you'll have to forgive me because I missed the last game. I think they would have ended up, Art, with 58 consecutive games, 57?
56, I believe.
I would say with it plus or minus 1 or 2 there.
Yeah.
But consecutive games as a unit together playing special teams for Missouri State. I don't know that we ever see anything like that again.
No.
I mean, that COVID year kind of helps out a little bit.
Sure.
But
that
I mean,
wasn't your fault.
No, I mean, it was just kind of we fell into the right place at the right time. And, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, it was a true blessing.
Well, I say you get ready now for this next phase, and you work on what you can to stay ready, to have the opportunity to possibly punt at the next level. There's obviously more opportunities now than there were 5 or 10 years ago, but you mentioned the coaching aspect of it. How excited are you at the thought of getting into coaching, and kind of where do you see yourself as having the opportunity maybe to be a high school coach? Obviously you come from a great program at Webb City, being a college coach at this level like Coach Beard. What's sort of the when you look in the crystal ball, what are you looking for?
Ideally, I'd like to come back and help coach here, just to, help continue the standard in the special teams rooms and help develop those guys so they can be great as well. But, I mean, I'll take any coaching job that I can take. 'Cause, I mean, I've been working with guys for the past 3 or 4 years, just like little camps here and there. Me and Stuart are going to a camp in Kansas City that I'm going to help coach at this weekend. But I think that's my calling, is being able to help guys develop themselves and learn how they can mature themselves through the game.
Well, Grant, you'll be a great coach, but hopefully you get a chance at the next level, and good luck to you with that.
I thank you very much.
You bet. And congratulations to Grant Burkett, 5-time all-conference punter in the Valley. Corey and I will be back to wrap this thing up for this week. Stay with us. Well, thanks for joining us this week. Our wrap-up of things coming up on the Missouri State sports calendar, dwindling a little bit.
Yeah.
On the road, track and field is competing Friday and Saturday at Pittsburgh State. Missouri State Lady Bears will be home Friday night at 6:30 to host Wyoming in the Vault. And Corey, Beth Cunningham was talking on her radio show Monday night how that game came about. They're trying to get Kira Daniels, who's from Colorado, as close as they could to her home. And just nothing worked out with the Colorado schools. So they worked a home and home with Wyoming. They come here, and then the Bears go there next year.
And I tell you what, more power to them. Years ago in another life, when I worked for Mediacom, we went out to Laramie, Wyoming to do a Southern Illinois men's basketball game out there. And they have got a wall painted with the altitude at which you're at in that arena.
Yeah.
And going upstairs up there takes your breath away. So I hope the Lady Bears work on their cardio and their conditioning before their trip to Laramie, because the air is a little thinner up there.
We went out there twice with the men under Charlie Spoonhour, once in a tournament in Casper and then once on their campus. Speaking of the Bears, Coach Martin's team back home to take part in their first Missouri Valley Conference game of the season, Saturday night at 7 at Great Southern Bank Arena against the defending league champions from Indiana State.
And don't forget, if you're one of the first 1,000 Bears fans in attendance, you'll have an opportunity to pick up a free Powerade drawstring bag, as well as a free Powerade. And there may or may not be a pom-pom in there for you, too. So check inside the bag when you get here. But free gifts for the first 1,000 through the doors here Saturday night.
And don't forget to come out to Big Shots Golf on Monday nights for Inside the Den with our basketball teams. Coach Beth Cunningham and the Lady Bears at 6 p.m., and then Tom Ladd is the host of that. And at 7, you and I are with Conzo Martin and the Bears in the 7 o'clock hour each Monday all season long for the Bears and Lady Bears.
Yeah, and really can't say enough about how much fun it was to get that part of the season kicked off on Monday night. You know this better than I do, Art. I think Conzo is a very different coach and a very different man than he was in his first go-around here. What he has learned in his time at Cal and Tennessee and Mizzou before coming back to Springfield has made him a different coach, and I really enjoy every interaction with him. He's so very thoughtful, and a lot of the young men that you're going to get to meet when you come out to that show are the same way. Mekhi Valentine was fantastic last night. Very thoughtful, very enjoyable discussion with him about his basketball playing career to this point.
I agree with you about Conzo, and he said, we asked him, he's more laid back now than when he was a rookie coach, and he's learned to delegate some things to assistant coaches, and he said, I hired him for a reason, so let's let him work. And he still wants to win. The fire is just as much, but just not eating him up quite like it did before.
He knows what the end result is now more than just living and dying game by game, and I think maybe that's something a lot of us could learn from.
Yeah, indeed so. Well, thanks for joining us on this week's MoState Update. I'm Art Haynes along with Corey Riggs, and we'll talk to you next time.
You've been listening to the MoState Update with Art Haynes and Corey Riggs. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Missouri State Sports Network.